When I was young, my brother and I built a boat with our father. We spent several years sailing and exploring the Patuxent River. And then I met Tony.
Peter and I spent many happy times on that boat, and so when we got married, we built a larger boat and ventured out into the Chesapeake Bay and its many rivers.
We crewed on larger boats with dreams of sailing the world, but then life took another turn.
Today, we look forward to retirement with dreams of leaving it all behind. Come join us on our journey to sail the seas.
Feel like you're going dinghy?
I don't know, are you?
I'm going dinghy. Over dinghies. We've been looking at dinghies for the 1260 for a little bit. We narrowed it down to 4 builders. And we're going to talk about the dinghies and what we're looking for dinghies to contrast them a little bit in hopes that it will help somebody else out in our scenario. The dinghy is a word derived from the East Indies back in the 1800s, a dinghy meaning a small boat. And then a tender is also a small boat that tends the mother boat, a bigger boat. For us, the dinghy and tender will do the same thing in our range. So when we say dinghy or tender, it's really the same boat. It's a boat just goes back and forth.
So in either case, we need something to go back and forth with. We need to be able to transport crew and supplies. People forget about that, and it might be more than just groceries and things. You know, there could be parts needed for the boat. It could be significant
Packages
weight.
of shorts.
We want to be able to go fishing or snorkeling or swimming or walking on the beach. So we want to be able to get there.
Crabbing.
And crabbing, yeah, we like crabs. And so we may want to be able to go a distance. We don't want to just go through the marina or the harbor. We want to be able to take the dinghy and go a distance to
We want to explore, yeah. We don't want to putt around the harbor. We want to be able to go a little bit places, maybe as far as 5, even 10 miles away.
And so we may want to be able to beach the dinghy too.
Yes, it has to be beachable. So anyway, what our requirements are, we're looking at something between 11 and 12 feet, something that's going to fit between the hulls of the 1260 that won't smack the edge. You know, 11, 12 feet is about the perfect size. You can go a little bit bigger, but that's what we're looking at. Has to be affordable. You know, after buying the 1260, you know, we need something affordable for the dinghy. We don't want a Huck Finn raft by any means. We're looking at a load capacity of 800 to 1,000 pounds to get supplies, you know, 5, 6 people, whatever the mixture, the rate might be. Whatever we get has to be comfortable and safe.
Not tilty.
I don't want tippy. Even if it just feels tippy, I don't like tippy. Because then other people get on there, they feel like it's tippy, they overcompensate, and then you tip. So I don't really like tippy. Has to be compatible with the 1260 davit systems. Those davit systems come off the solar panels on the back, so you can't have strange, you know, one single hoist crane or anything like that. So it has to be compatible with that. We want to see lightweight. We have to lift it. You and me have to be able to hoist it up. I think 1260 comes with a 3-to-1 purchase ratio. Depending on what we get, we might have to increase that to 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 20-to-1. Hopefully not 20-to-1. And then we're looking
be able to pull it up onto a beach or something like that too.
So we're looking for options. Some of the options, like the wheels on the back, that we can drop the wheels and you and me can lift up the front and kind of wheel it up to the beach, or, you know, wheel it in places. Because I see us going back and forth in the evening, dinner, tiki bars, that type of stuff, we're going to need running lights. In the United States, you have to have the running lights at any time of restricted visibility at dusk. So we need running lights on this. So you need some type of electric package or something like that. We need the ability to paddle and row, because we've all been there, right? We're out there and the motor quits, you run out of gas, the filter clogs, whatever. You need an alternative means of propulsion. And my strategy is give Tony 2 oars and tell her which way to paddle.
Good luck with that.
We want a motor, a go-fast motor. And when I say go-fast motor, something that will bring whatever we get up on plane so we can go a little bit, not just 6 knots through the harbor. You know, we need something that's a little bit bigger that gets us going. So when I say go fast, the biggest motor we can put on it that's safe, right? That's what I mean. Anything over 9 horsepower, and I think so up many feet, we have to register. So we're going to have to register this, at least in the state of Maryland anyway, just like any other motorboat, even though it's dinghy. And then we're looking for some type of storage on the dinghy itself. You know, some places to put stuff, you know, store stuff, maybe lock it up, you know, when we're at dinghy docks and stuff like that. So once again, we're caught in this paradox, this dinghy paradox.
So if you're thinking lightweight, that means it's more expensive, generally speaking.
Carbon fiber, Kelvar, those tend to be more expensive materials for sure. High load capacity usually means heavier weight.
And heavier weight means a bigger motor.
Bigger motor means more weight, which needs bigger motor. So we're caught in this paradox where there's no such thing as the perfect dinghy. It's going to be a compromise, just like the 1260 was the best compromise that we could make for ourselves. We've been looking at dinghies for quite some time, and we've narrowed it down. But before we start, we need to understand what the max weight we can carry on there, on the 1260 davits system as they're designed. You can't just load it up and expect the davits to hold everything there, right? And I scoured and I've asked, and everybody has their own opinion, but the only official thing I've ever saw was from Shane Grover in the Seawind forums post, as he said that the davit system should not hold more than 300 kilos. What the hell's a kilo? I mean, we're in the United States. Kilo is how you measure drugs, right? Got 5 pounds of cocaine, kilos, or 5 kilos of cocaine, you know, and oh, you got a kilo of pot on them. So the first thing we have to do is convert it to pounds, right? We understand pounds. You understand kilos?
No.
Okay. So 300 kilos is about 661 pounds. So that's the theoretical maximum rate that we can hold off of those davit systems, right? I don't know, does that sound like a lot, or does it sound very light?
It sounds like a lot, but
It kind of sounds like a lot, but what are we going to hang off of it? Let's forget about the dinghy itself. We know we're going to have an outboard motor on it, right? And we know it's going to be probably between 15 and 25 horsepower, right? So if you look at the motor rates, you know, the Tohatsu is the lightest motor. That's 95 pounds, followed by Mercury, which is 111 pounds. Suzuki is 126 pounds. Honda is 134 pounds. And Yamaha, the ultimate Yamaha. Everybody wants the Yamaha. Is the heaviest, weighing in about 139 pounds. And these are just raw figures I pulled from the internet. We loved our Yamaha on the other boat. That thing just worked, right? You know, and I would love to get a Yamaha, but at that weight, is it dinghy worthy? I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of weight. So if we take the average or the mean, that tells us what, 126 pounds?
yes.
Suzuki weighs in, that's about the mean weight between those motor ranges. So let's figure the motor's going to weigh about 126 pounds, right? If we're looking at some type of electrical package, like light, electric start, right? And we're still going back and forth on electric start. That's going to require a battery, right? And the battery is going to be about 40 to 45 pounds. If we have a battery, if we have electric start, we might have to have motor wheel alternator or something that could increase the weight as well.
So you're at about 170.
And then we're looking at fuel, right? I'm thinking 6 gallons of fuel, right? if we want to go places. Maybe 3, but let's just figure 6. 6 gallons of fuel is about 36 pounds.
So now you're at about 200.
We're right off the bat. You know, that 661 pounds comes down to about less than around 450, right? And we haven't even talked about the water. You know, if that dinghy is raised up and it rains or weather gets in there, and if you don't unplug the drain plug in that dinghy, or God forbid it clogs, like that never happens, right? You're gonna hold all that weight of the water in that dinghy on that davit system. So you want some insurance there. You want something that will, even if you get a little bit of water in there, that it's gonna hold and it's not gonna rip everything down, right? So that's where we are with the weight.
So we got about, what did you say, 450 pounds to play with?
About 450 pounds that we got to play with,
Okay.
right? And that does include toys and stuff like that. One important thing to note is we have the motor crane on the 1260. That was an option we chose, and the motor mount. And the reason we got that is we can actually take the outboard off the dinghy and store it on a specifically designed mount on the stern of the boat.
And offshore, that's probably the best thing to do.
So that will take the weight of the motor off the dinghy. So if we're sailing really rough weather or passage making or something, that's what we will probably do. And that will remove some of the weight from the dinghy, and that will help. Or if we just go to the dock, we'll probably do the same thing. So that's a plus. That might buy us something. Not much.
A little bit.
A little bit.
So how much weight can we carry, not the davit system, but how much can the boat take without it affecting performance?
That's a very good question, and everybody's going to have a different answer. I've seen big dinghies on the back of these boats. You know, La Gracia, I think it had a 380 with a Yamaha, so that's a heavy dinghy. I just saw a dinghy in Annapolis on a 1260 that had the center console and the bimini on it, and it was a 360, and that's kind of a heavy dinghy as well. So I think the Seawind will carry it. The issue with is really the stern of the catamarans are wide, right? And as wide, they're just coming along for the ride, and they have a large wetted surface. And the larger the wetted surface, the more drag it creates, right? We already have the heavy diesels back there, so we're kind of back in there. So the more weight you're adding to the stern of the boat, the more that back end is going to come down. The more wetted surface area you're going to have, the more drag you're going to create, and loss of performance. So I don't know how much weight we can really get back there, but any pounds we can shave helps us with performance, helps us raising the dinghy, and helps us dragging the dinghy out, in and out of the water, right? So we narrowed it down. We're going to be contrasting 4 vendors. We're going to look at Highfield. Highfield is just right up the road. There's a Highfield dealer. We got quotes from them. Don't have to worry about shipping charges, you know, and it's a very common dinghy, right? We're going to be looking at ocean cruising tenders, or a lot of people call them OCT dinghies. They're out of New Zealand. Godspeed had an OCT dinghy. Remember that dinghy? We're going to be looking at Aspen Carbon Cat. They're out of Washington State. They have a very cool hull design. And then we're going to be looking at AST Yachts, and they have some very innovative dinghies. They're made out of Germany.
Are you sure people say oct? I mean,
I
'cause
say
would
oct
say,
like an octopus or octopussy, you know, the James Bond movie.
oh my God.
What would you say?
I would say OCT.
OCT?
Yeah.
Some people might say OCT rather than oct. Leave a comment.
Peter makes things
If I'm
up
right,
sometimes too.
don't leave a comment if Tony's right. Okay, let's get started.
So you're going to be able to finish all of this in one episode?
I always say I'm not going to make the episode more than 15 minutes, and we ended up going almost a half hour. So if we have to, I'll split this up into 2 episodes if we have to. Because I think people lose focus listening us to rambling up to 15 minutes, probably up to 5 minutes. But anyway, let's get started.
I don't ramble, you ramble.
We'll start with the Highfield first, okay?
Highfield's been around for a while. They make quality ribs, RIBs, which stands for rigid inflatable boats. They're probably the most common dinghies or tenders you see out there in any harbor or marina. The bottom section looks like aluminum rowboat, and the top section's usually made out of Hapalon, and it usually holds air. It's inflatable. But anything that holds air can leak air, and that's a downside of ribs. Tony and I are interested in the 3.4 meter range, which is 11 feet 2 inches. Highfield offers quite a few models. We can eliminate the roll-up models as they're not going to be strong enough to carry a big motor. We'll take a look at the UltraLite and the Classic. The Sport is just going to be too big, too heavy, and the Patrol is not going to work either, so we can eliminate those as well. Looking at the specs for the Highfield UltraLite 340, it has the right length, 11 feet 1 inches, has a great load carrying capacity, 1,462 pounds. You can fit 5-6 people in there easily. And I'm really liking the 117 pound boat weight. This is a light dinghy. And you can slap a 20 horsepower motor on it. So on the surface, this looks good. But if we dig a little bit deeper, there's some things that just rule it out for me and Tony. What Tony and I don't like about the UltraLite is there was no bow locker. There was no mechanism to store your stuff if you're going to a dinghy dock. Some of these places you have to lock up and tie up everything. And there's nothing on this boat. This is quite open. But the main reason that this boat is unacceptable is there's no false floor. That's the bottom of the boat. And all the water that collects in there is going to just slosh around, collect on the bottom. So if you're moving supplies or groceries or something, it's going to be sloshing in the water. If you're going out to dinner, your feet's just going to get wet with the sloshing waters. It's inevitable that this happens. Clothes, towels, anything that might fall into the bottom of the hull is going to get wet. Contrasting the Classic series with the UltraLite, we can see right away on the same similar boat, we pick up 1 inch. The Classic 340 comes in at 11 feet 2 inches. We lose 247 pounds max capacity, but the 1,215 is still within our range of requirements. But we gain 40 pounds, 40 extra pounds. So the Classic series for the same size boat is going to weigh 40 pounds heavier than the UltraLite. So let's see what we get for those 40 pounds. On the Classic series, it comes with the false floor or the double floor. And this allows the water to go underneath so your feet stays dry. So any water sloshing around, you're kind of protected from. So if you drop your phone or a piece of your navigation equipment or your towel or whatever, it doesn't just land in a puddle of water. The water is usually dirty, it's stinky and stagnant and all that, and it's really not necessary. So this simple false floor really makes a big difference. Doesn't sound like much, but it really is a change gamer. The inside loops here, you can attach additional seating or benches, which is nice as well. You also can see the forward bow locker. Not big, not overly large. The gas tank will fit in there and the gas line will run underneath the false floor. But you can store stuff in there and you can actually lock things up. So it gives you an option when you go to some of these sketchy dinghy docks. You can see the running lights here on the Classic series. But the Classic is also a little bit wider than the UltraLite version as well. And you can increase the horsepower to 25 horsepower on the Classic. For these reasons, I think the 40 extra pounds is a good compromise, and I think I would prefer the Classic 340 over the UltraLite. However, there's options with the Classic 340. So let's look at these options really quick. This is the same Classic 340, but this is the FCT option. This has a steering wheel, a little console, throttle controls, and a seat. And this is going to weigh in at 80 additional pounds. This is really a sweet option. I really like this. The nice seat has a nice backrest, makes it very comfortable. A steering wheel and throttle controls right at your fingertips while you're facing forward. This would be a really great boat, especially for exploring a little bit distance from the mothership. I really like this. And 80 pounds, it's kind of acceptable. But what I don't like about it is you give up a little bit of floor space. So if you were to transport bulky supplies back and forth, this might be a problem. Steering cables and throttle linkage complicates the engine removal. Now you need tools to take those things off. I don't know if you have to calibrate, tune them, or reset them. But you need the ability to take that motor off and store it on the motor mount during rough weather or passage making. A 20-25 horsepower motor is just too heavy to have it swing on the davits during rough weather. By having just the motor back there, all you have to do is unhook the fuel line, unclamp it, and you're good to go. There is also a GT or a Grand Tour console option that can be added to the Classic 340. This will bring in about another 101 pounds. The boat will go to 157 to 258. For the purpose of this evaluation, I'm going to stick with the Classic 340. No fancy console options. I think the consoles add a little bit of complications and remove some cargo carrying capacity. Things that I like about the Classic 340, I love the false floor to keep your feet and supplies dry. I love the large load carrying capacity, or 5 to 6 people passenger capacity. I think the design of the Highfield is very versatile. I think it will be the workhorse of the tenders. Things I do not like about the Highfield is it's an inflatable, and anything that holds air will leak air, and it probably will require pumping up or patching over time. The Hapalon or the PVC tubes will rot in the sunlight, and I suspect it will only last 7 to 10 years before requiring replacement. I was able to get a price quote from the local dealer. The quote was for $7,400 just for the boat itself. I'm not going to include motors because everybody has their own take on motors and what motors they want, which varies the price. And I'm not including options, but I will cover the options I would like to see on all my dinghies, regardless of what we decide to get later on. Another dinghy I like to look at is the Aspen Carbon Cat, manufactured out of Washington State. I really love the hull shape. It's kind of a cross between a trimaran catamaran. It's very efficient. Doesn't take much power to push it through the water, and it's very stable. The Carbon Cat is not an inflatable, so you don't have to worry about fixing leaks or pumping it up with air. I'm still interested in that 3.4 meter range, so the T11 is the model that I'm interested in. It has a weight of 151 pounds, which makes it 7 pounds lighter than the Highfield Classic 340. It maxes out with a 15 horsepower motor, and that's due to the efficient hull design. So that should be a little bit of weight savings in the motor as well. This dinghy should last as long as the mothership. You don't have to worry about punctures or air leaks or repairs or sun rot. It is very stable, and it's a dry boat, even in a little bit of chop. She has a load capacity of 1,040 pounds, or could carry up to 5 to 6 people depending on their size. She's foam core constructed, and there's plenty of additional foam in the front and the back. This boat will not go under. I think this boat is very comparable to the Highfield Classic 340. However, other boats I've seen at this size tend to be a little bit lighter. At 151 pounds, I wish this boat was like 20 to 30 pounds lighter. It didn't be a slam dunk decision. Yes, The Carbon Cat would be a fine ride for exploring those coves or going to shore to get those supplies. The Carbon Cat has a slightly raised floor option with channels, which would take any water that gets in the hull and channels it out through the drain plug. So I really like that as well. So how much do I like it? Well, nice thing about Carbon Cat is they're very upfront with their prices. So the boat itself would be $11,100 for the 3.4 meter or the 11.2 foot range. Now this is just for the boat. Again, I'm going to hold off on options. I'm going to hold off on motors because that's going to vary according to people's preference. However, there's a couple other costs you have to keep in mind. This needs to be shipped. This does not include shipping costs. So ship it out to the East Coast of the United States from Washington State. It's going to be about additional $1,000 to about maybe $1,600 more, depending on if I can get it on a truck that's already on its way out here. I'm also not too happy about this $200 ecology fee and this $875 petrochemical composite surcharge. Wow, that's almost another $1,100 right off the bat. This must be a Washington State thing. So realistically, by the time you add the $200 ecology fee, the $875 petrochemical composite surcharge, whatever the hell that might be, and the $1,500 shipping fee, this is going to come out to about $13,675. That's over $6,200 more than a Highfield Classic 340. However, it's important to note that if I keep this boat for more than 10 years, this will be the last dinghy I would have to buy. About 10 years, I would have to replace that Highfield, and then I would have to pay it over. So if I keep it over 10 years or long term, the Aspen Carbon Cat is actually cheaper.
How are we doing on time, Peter?
Oh, we're way over. We're way over. We're going to end this video right now, and then we'll take a look at the OCT or the OCT. And the AST in next month's video, and then we'll bring it all together. So hopefully we can conclude this next month. So just bear with us on here.
And if you like our channel, please hit subscribe, like, and the notification bell.
Yes, and leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if there's other dinghies or tenders that we need to be looking at. Until next month.
See ya.
To do a weigh-in. It's been a while since I've done a weigh-in on film, so we'll see where we're at today. Today's June 1st. We're going to do a health update on our weight. As you saw, I just stepped off the scale. I'm down to 178, so I lost another 6 pounds. So I am down 42 pounds since January 1st. How you doing?
I've lost 30 pounds since January 1st, and I think that's about 3 pounds since the last time we reported.
So we're moving in the right direction. We're going to continue to do what we're doing to July 1st, and that will give us a full 6 months, and then we'll evaluate where we are and what we need to do. Okay?